Hi, everybody. It's Mike from Hear the Watchman. And, today we have our continuing series with our dear friend and brother in Christ, Chance, from American Survival Wholesale. And today we're going to talk about wilderness survival and some very important things that he has to tell you about what happens once you end up in a situation to survive out there. But before we get into that, I want to let you guys know something under this wilderness survival thing. If you're looking for an awesome RV, a toy hauler that I personally have stayed in, Chance has one that he's selling right now. Contact him, AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com. Get a hold of him. Take a look at it. Great bug out vehicle. If you're looking for something like that. So, Chance, thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks in Boise, Idaho at the Hear the Watchman conference.
Blessings, Mike. Yeah, I'm very excited. We're really looking forward to that event. As a matter of fact, we've been planning to come up with some pretty cool displays, and we're going to actually have a private room for folks to come in and check out something that's brand new to American Survival Wholesale, and that's our distiller. So yeah, you threw me off there with the RV. It is a pretty cool RV. It hauls a couple of ATVs. It's got its own fueling system. It's got this massive 5,000 watt generator. This thing could power your house way more than you need. It can be pulled like with a F-150 or a Suburban, Avalanche or something like that. So it's lightweight, but anyway, it's in Texas here, so if you're on the East Coast, might not do you any good. So listen, guys, today I'm gonna put some glasses on, guys. It is so bright. It's like the sun in my backyard here. I'm getting spots flashing my eyes. So today we're going to talk about wilderness survival and why it's important that you guys prepare before you go out into the woods, right? So we're going to talk about that, but a little housekeeping first. We're going to talk about compasses today. In this genre, and we're going to be giving away, as a matter of fact, I'm going to put these up to the camera right now. We're going to be talking about these. We're going to be giving away these compasses on your show, Mike. This is just a keychain compass, right? It's always with you, and it's very accurate. And if you don't know how to use a compass with a map, I suggest that you learn, and we can help you with that. This second device is not just a compass, but it's a thermometer. It's a thermometer as well as a map reading measurement device. So basically, you just run this little wheel along your map, measure the distance from one point to another point. So we're going to be giving these away to all of your listeners that watch this video. Getting a little echo, Mike. To all the listeners that watch this video, we're going to be giving these away with any order. Again, any order. You're not going to get one. You're going to get two, and we'll explain why you need two here in a minute. So let's get right into it. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you a question now. What do you think in that situation in wilderness survival, what do you think your best survival tool is?
Well, my best survival tool would be to contact AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com. I mean, I'll tell you that right now. And to ask you what I should do, I think coming up here in a couple of weeks and spending some time with us at our home, we live in the wilderness. We live in the mountains, out in the mountains, and experience difficulties and had to rely upon myself to get out. So I'll tell you, folks, I mean, if you go to AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com and you contact Chance, that is the best way. What I do when I go out into the wilderness, though, Chance, for certain, is I carry water and food.
Okay, those are very, very important. As a matter of fact, in that priority, they're very important. But the best survival tool, Mike, in that situation is this. It's your mind, it's your brain, right? You've got to be able to handle an emergency, and you've got to have the proper training and the equipment to do so. But it all starts here. So statistically speaking, a lot of the reason why when people get lost in the woods, in the wilderness, why they're never found is because they didn't proper plan their trip, or they made some basic mistakes when they were out in the wild where they could never be found because they got off the path. So we're gonna get into that today. But what we want to talk about, number one, is an emergency, right? Well, let's define what is an emergency. Basically, it's an unplanned event that requires immediate action, right? So you don't plan on an emergency, but you need to be trained for it. And how you handle that event does depend on your training and the gear that you have with you, right? So understanding that being out in the wilderness, you need to break down that word. The first letters of wilderness are W-I-L-D, okay? You're in the wild. You have to assume before you head out that you're going to be faced with an emergency, with an event. And how you handle that can mean life or death. And guys, that's why this is so important, all right? So let's get into some of the rules. Number one, before you do anything, you've got to be familiar with the area that you're going to be in. Now, doesn't mean that you've been there before. It just means that you properly mark out that location on a map. Get familiar using Google Earth or whatever technology you have. Get familiar with that landscape. And as a matter of fact, if there are any landmarks, make sure that you mark those on your map. Things that you can see from, let's say, a high point, advantage. So that if you do get lost, you'll recognize these landmarks. You can get back to the area that you're supposed to be in, okay? Number two, don't be out there unprepared, okay? Do the research on the area. Take the items that you need. Never too much, because you're going to have to pack this, right? Take the items that you're going to need. You never know if you're going to be able to use them or not, but at least having them on hand puts you in a better situation than most, okay? The next rule of being out in the wilderness before you go is share those coordinates, those exact coordinates, with someone else that's not going with you on the trip. And what I mean by that is your mom, your dad, your best friend, your wife, whoever that friend that might be, share those coordinates and say, look, this is the day that we're leaving. This is the day that we plan on being back. This is exactly where we're going to be. And if we do not return, if you don't hear from us within 24 hours of our expected return date, you need to call the authorities and give them this information. Okay? So many folks, and I'm not just saying the youth, but even experienced hikers, make the mistake of, on a whim, going out hiking, camping, or whatever it might be, an outing with your family, and they don't tell anybody where they're at. Okay? So you've got to do that. You've got to share that information with others, all right? Those coordinates, that's very, very important. So let someone know when and where you're going to be back and exactly where you're going to be. Before you leave, on the maps, you can locate water sources, okay? Whether that be a creek, a river, a stream, a lake, or the ocean, depending on where you're at in the country. You've got to locate those water sources before you leave, in case you run out of water, in case your water supply is dried up. You might have been there before and there was a creek that was running, but now we're in a drought and it's completely dry, right? So there are ways to find these places on a map. And if you can't find one on a map, and let's say you do get stuck out in the wilderness and you're out of water, look at the trails, guys. Look at where the animals are going. Where you see two paths, let's say you've got a deer path here, and you've got a bobcat path here, and you've got these different paths. Where they come together is likely the path that's going to lead you to water, okay? So that's extremely important. Having a backup to a backup. And now we're going to get back to compasses. So having that map, taking that map with you, that's great. But learning how to use a map is so important. And I believe, personally, as a survivalist, I believe in duplication, right? And that's why I said I'm not going to give you one, but I'm going to give you two compasses, okay? This compass that you have on your keychain might get lost, might get broken. Who knows? Stops working, I don't know. but you've got a backup. You've always got a backup. And without this, if you're really out in the wilderness, you're dead without a compass, right? You're just hoping for the best, and that's not what you want to do. You don't want to hope for the best. So on the map as well, if you really look around and you expand that search out, let's say that you do get lost and you do find some landmarks. There might be up the road a small town. Maybe it's a 10-mile hike. There might be a small community. There might be a Boy Scout camp or some type of fishing camp that might be on a river or a stream. If you know where those are at ahead of time, and you can follow that path, maybe it's a stream or riverbed, and you can follow that path, you'll eventually run into people, right? Now, this is very important. On that last day, if you know you're not going to get out of there, you need to go back to the location that you originally gave those coordinates to your friends and your family, right? You need to go back to that location. They're never, ever going to be able to find you if you're not in that spot, okay? If you're on the last day and, again, you're in that situation, you need to start 3 fires side by side. 1, 2, 3. That is a universal symbol that almost every country in the world and every pilot recognize as an SOS symbol. It means, please help me. So 3 fires side by side. They don't necessarily have to be done at night. The smoke alone would give that position away. So start 3 fires if you get into trouble. Anyone that is flying above will see those and clearly get you help right away. All right? Mike, if you want to chime in, do you have any questions before we move on?
No, I think you know, Chance, what you're talking about is phenomenal information. Folks, I really want to let you know about the game trails.
Yeah.
You know, they do lead to water. That's what the game does. We have trails up here, and I'm going to tell you how important this stuff is that Chance is talking about. Last year, it's a well-known fact, huge mistake, and I was out chasing some bears, and I went too far down a game trail, stopped, went to back up in my four-wheeler, my ATV, and I high-sided on a rock and sent that four-wheeler 250 yards down the side of the mountain. No way I could get to it. Side of the mountain. I'm lucky that I was able to jump off. I had to hike out to a point where I could get cell reception. But what I had done was I had made a mental note of the trail that I was on, and I had a friend that lives in my neighborhood up here that knew I was out riding that I could call.
Right.
And I called him. He was able to come up the trail and get me. And I'm telling you, it's very important that you listen to what Chance is saying here, because without a plan and without keeping a cool head when you're out there and something goes wrong, and let me tell you, it in a fraction of a second, if you're not prepared and you don't have people who know where you are, you're in a whole lot of trouble. That's all I'd say, Chance.
Amen. You know, remember, getting lost, Mike, actually doesn't kill you. You know what kills you is bad decisions, right? The decisions that you make while you're out there, that's life or death, right? So look, we're going to get right back into it. We're talking about, folks, to recap a little bit, what you need to do before you go out into the wilderness. Once you're there, circumstances change, right? But what you need to do before you actually go out there, here's the 4th item. Check your weather, right? Check the weather forecast for the period that you're going to be gone. If it's going to be cold and it's going to be raining, you're going to pack differently than if it's going to be sunny like it is here in Texas, okay? So you need to be prepared for the weather conditions in that area, right? And be prepared for the worst, you know? Yeah, you're going to have your poncho. You might have a full brim hat, and that's what we suggest, like a cowboy hat or a gardener's hat to cover the back of your neck and the front of your head. And I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm wearing these glasses, and I'll tell you why. It's bright in here, but if people have noticed lately with the solar flares, the sun has been extremely bright. I would encourage any of your listeners to go out and invest in a pair of sunglasses that wrap around the eye. right? To keep that bright sun, those UV rays from getting into your retina. You've got to protect your vision. You can find these anywhere, any like Amazon or any website that carries a full line of glasses. They're just wraparound sunglasses. I highly encourage everybody to get those, especially if you're going to be out hiking and again in the wilderness. So back to what you need to do before you leave: checking your weather, preparing for the worst, your supplies and your gear. Okay, we can sell you a bug out bag, but guys, if you don't know how to use the items in the bag, you're in trouble before you even get started, right? So take your survival kit, your bug out bag, take it apart, learn how to use these products, these items, and duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Why have one flashlight when you can have two, right? You don't know how long you're going to be out there. Don't pack one big lighter. Pack a big lighter and a matching, right? Have a backup, duplicate what you're doing, and you're probably going to be okay. Prepare for the worst. Learn how to set an animal trap. Okay, there's basic fall traps that anyone can learn how to set. They're very simple. You'll find everything that you need out in the wilderness. Learn how to make an emergency shelter using the sticks and the things around you to build a shelter. Right. Never sleep on the ground. That's another huge one. I mean, grab leaves, grab pine needles, whatever you have at your disposal. Get that between you and the ground to keep it warm. Okay. Make sure that you have many, many ways to start a fire. At least two, possibly three. Okay. So I can teach you guys. We can talk about specifics. We have free consultations. If there's an area that you would like to discover, I can help you with your research. As a matter of fact, there's some great websites that you can go to, get information in the areas that you're going to be in. One final rule is know the plants. Take about 3 to 4 hours and study the wild plants in the area that you're in. So some berries, for example, are just fine to eat, right? Blackberries, mulberries, there's all types of berries that are fine to eat. Then there are some that will kill you or make you definitely ill. And that's not going to be any fun. You're going to be just miserable for your whole trip. So make sure before you go into an area, you know what's edible, you know what's not, and then practice, with the group that you're with, your family perhaps, start using some of these wild edibles and make a salad out of dandelion leaf fruits. I mean, there's so many things that are available to you, right? And it really helps in emergencies. So those are the basic rules for wilderness survival. I've got a lot more tips. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me at bugoutamerica@usa.com and set up a free consultation. Or give us a call, 1-877-0759, 720-0759.
Thank you so much for coming on today and talking about that. Great information, folks. And again, best way to get the chance is to go to AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com button or BugoutAmerica@USA.com. Contact him, find out where you go on a trip, plan things out. If you plan ahead, I promise you, if something goes wrong, you will be very grateful that you did. So, Chance, I want to thank you for coming on the show. We're really looking forward to seeing you up in Boise, Idaho conference here in just a couple of weeks. And folks, if you haven't seen the Hear the Watchman conference, go online, www.hearthewatchman.men. Check it out. If you can't make it in person, avail yourself of the live stream on demand version. $39.99 gets you 6 months worth of viewing. Use the promotional code BOISE20 and get 20% off that price. So, Chance, we look forward to talking to you again next week. I think we're going to be working with next week here on the show together, who was on not too long ago. And we're going to bring her back. And we're going to continue, folks, each week new information about what you need to do to prepare and how to actually do it. So again, AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com. Out, see what they have, get a hold of Chance for all your survival needs. Chance, thanks again for coming on today.
My pleasure. Don't forget, guys, now through the 1st of August, any order, $5, I don't care, any order gets you not only 1, but 2 free compasses, compliments of American Survival Wholesale. We'd rather see you guys prepared than not, okay? So any order between now and August 1st, just put HTW in the promo code, and I'm going to send you both of these compasses, including a map measuring device, free of charge, okay? God bless you guys. Thank you, Mike, for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Chance. And listen, folks, until I see you next time here on the Watchman's Report, God bless each and every one of you. Don't be afraid and be prepared. That's all we're saying here on our show. So God bless you. See you again on the Watchman's Report.